Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast, brought to you by Omaha Steaks. And for Father's Day, they've got a special for you. When you order online at omahasteaks.com, we've got a code to give you at the end of the podcast that will save you money on whatever you get for Dad from Omaha Steaks. I have a food dude kind of related question here, and I think that this is probably an impossible question to answer, but I'm going to throw it out there. And actually, I don't know. It may have come out of the fact that, all the food that, comes in here, we wind up with more savory snacks from the food dude than we do sweet stuff most of the time. And so here's my impossible question to you. I'm not even sure I can answer this one, but I'm going to try. If you were restricted to the only choice, if you had to choose for the rest of your life to only eat savory snacks or sweet snacks, which would you choose?
Savory.
Would you? Okay.
Really,
yeah.
Sam?
I'm surprised to hear that. Sam, I would think, would have a tough time with that. You seem like more of a sweets guy than
savory, at least mentally also, it just feels like you're eating something more.
Yeah,
Sweet
it kind of
snacks,
sticks.
It's like cookies, cinnamon rolls. You're not getting anything out of it.
Okay, yeah. I hear what you're saying. You're saying the savory snack could actually sort of double as a meal.
Yeah.
You feel like you're getting more nutrients.
Even though you're probably not, it just you feel like there's more to what you're eating.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it's easier to overeat savory than it is to overeat sweet, because at some point the sugar just kicks you and you're like, oh, that's enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, just, I don't know, there's something about savory and salty that just works better for me, and I hope I never have to.
That's funny
give
that you
those
say
up,
that,
but,
Murphy, because I would think you'd say sweets. You are.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's
I've never known
impossible
anybody
to
who
give
likes
up.
sweets as much as you.
Well, desserts. Now realize I can do without packaged candy and all that kind of junk. I like desserts that are made in a restaurant. If I'm going to get, if those are the calories that I'm going to consume, I would rather it be done by something that has been chef
Made with
crafted, for
love.
lack of a better term, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And and it doesn't necessarily come in a wrapper. It doesn't mean if something in a wrapper is sitting in front of me, I would eat it. But that's, yes, like in ice cream, which I don't consider in a wrapper. Ice cream is that natural dairy, delicious, that's a weakness for sure.
Is that because, maybe it is like in a restaurant, you're eating a savory meal before you get to that sweet. So therefore,
One triggers the other.
It doesn't feel like you're overloading on the sweet because you're using it to offset, or I don't know, maybe a reward for the savory you just ate.
I think the sweet is supposed to be smaller. It's supposed to be less. It's supposed to be like the cherry on top, literally.
Yeah.
Just a little kiss of something.
I'm sure there's some sort of brain chemical reaction, something that, if you wind up with a sweet tooth, which is what everybody calls it, by the end of a meal, and that's difficult for me to resist, as Jodi can tell you. I try to stick to my rule of it's either going to be an appetizer or it's going to be a dessert, and not both. And again, that's about calorie intake for me. But
how often does that work?
It's not all the time, not a lot. It depends on what it is.
It depends on how hungry he is, how occasion based it is. For Murphy, it's like, wait, this is an occasion. The girls are here, or we're going out for Mother's Day, or whatever it is. This is an occasion. Let's do something. We've never been here before. Let's try this.
Yeah. But, and the thing about those is for both appetizers and desserts, it's shared, though. I don't get a slice of anything just for me.
Yeah.
It's going to come with 4 spoons, and it'll be me and Jodi and the girls, all eating off of it instead of just one.
There is
I would have a tough time giving that up.
There's something that happens at the end of the meal when we're eating together as a family. Let's say we're in a restaurant and Taylor and Phoebe, our daughters, come with. If they're with us, they know, especially Taylor. She loves to have dessert. She knows. And so she knows. The server will come by and, is that going to be all? Would you like, to see the desserts? And my first thing is, no, thank you. I'm too full. I literally start shaking my head just so that they know we're good. We're good for the check. And Murphy's like, you know what? I would like to see the desserts. And Taylor just grins. She's like, yeah, we're getting lemon cake.
The thing is, it's not just your family. It's anytime we eat with Murphy. That's what it is. Even if we have a Murphy, Sam, and Jodi lunch or a professional lunch. Or
right.
Yeah.
You just, when that question comes up, and it's like, don't even ask. Just give him the dessert menu.
It depends, though. If we're all together, just relaxed talking, yeah, he eats normally. But if we're at a business luncheon where, there's a lot of networking going on or something is being presented, he barely eats. Like social takes over for you.
Yeah, it
and
does.
You can't do 2 things at once, and you will not eat.
Right.
And we'll leave, and you're like, I'm hungry. I'm going to drive through. I'm like, we just ate, but you didn't eat.
Right.
I forget that you don't really eat. If you're social, it's like you can't eat.
Yeah, I don't know
so
what that
funny.
is. In any sort of business setting, I'm going to be more focused on that part of it than eating. I mean, look, it's a good thing that at most of these. When we talk about business meetings, I don't just mean at a restaurant. I assume you mean like these kind of catered things where everything's plated, and those actually are decent portion sizes.
Those are
kind
correct
of
portion sizes.
Right, exactly. That's what I think every time I see those things at those
That's
plated
how many
gatherings.
potatoes you're supposed to have.
That's how it's a half cup,
little.
and that's what it's supposed to be. And this is the it's 3 ounces of this chicken, and that's what it's supposed. Whatever.
Right.
But yeah, even that small amount in that business setting, I don't. And I also don't finish dessert at those tables. That one slice of whatever is going to be, I'll eat a third
really
of it.
Really good,
maybe.
right? I don't know. Yeah. I always taste the dessert at those tables.
Yeah, me
Sometimes
too.
Sometimes if the dessert is there already, I'll just taste it.
Yeah.
Why not? To see if it's worth it.
And so and I know we started talking about, that's why I said it was an impossible question, because really it's one you don't have to answer. We like all those, varied things. But for me, if I'm eating somewhere that I've never eaten before, I do want to try the things that they have. I mean, why not? Why did I set foot there in the first place if I'm not actually going to try, what this restaurant has to offer? It depends on what you've heard about the restaurant before, especially. I mean, it's the mom and pop thing to me too. Jodi and I are very partial to that. We love supporting local restaurants, local owners, and it's if I'm going into that place for the first time, the foodie part of me wants to try everything, and the other part just wants to be, hospitable.
Are you adventurous when you see a menu, both of you, when you see a menu and it's like you don't want to stick to what you usually eat? You see one of those menus and it's like, I've never had anything like that, but it sounds good, so I'm going to go out on a limb and try it.
At a new restaurant or at a place that you've been before?
Anywhere.
Yeah, because
trying something that you never have tried. Because, like you go to a place that you always get a burger. That's great, but there's this other thing on the menu that's like,
it depends.
Oh yeah,
it depends because if I'm craving that burger, or there's a certain soup that I love at a restaurant. If I'm craving something, that's what got me there.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm
that
there.
makes sense.
And you only get one chance. If you order something new and you don't like it, you're not going to order a second entree. Nobody can afford to do that. So
right, and I forget where we went recently, Jodi, where that was the perfect case of what Sam's talking about. Restaurant we normally go to, my favorite, but I wanted to try something different. And that particular item that I chose,
it was
just didn't work.
It didn't live up.
Very
and you
average.
were envious of what I had, which was the old go-to.
Yeah, what did I order?
It was just one of our Mexican places, and you got some sort of tostada instead of what you normally would get, and you were just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, it was average.
Tostada, so everything was falling off.
Yeah, it was probably. So, but yeah, I guess I will tend to be more adventurous in a brand new restaurant. Mm-hmm. And then there are just some things that there's no like one hard and fast rule, but one that seems to be correct almost every time we go in. If you go into a seafood restaurant and you order something that's not seafood, but they're known for seafood, it's probably going to be below average, even if it's a great restaurant.
Because it's on the menu because they put it on there for the few people.
And I have violated that a few times because I love Italian. It's easy for me to, go, well, let me just at least try that. I did that at a seafood restaurant one time, and it was okay, but not nearly as good as, as the seafood.
Yeah.
It's frustrating when you go out to a dinner and you've ordered something and it shows up and it doesn't live up. You've spent the money, you didn't send it back. Which we don't like to send things back. We would have to be really upset or offended.
I'm not going to send things. I'm not going to send something back because it's not what I expected. I would only send it back if it truly didn't taste right.
What I'm saying is that burn stays with you, though. We did that recently where I loved what I had, but your chicken was spongy, remember, and the sauce was not sauce-like.
Oh yeah.
And you were the next day. You were like again, like at the sink the next morning. You were brushing your teeth, like, man, that just didn't.
It did
I need to go out to eat somewhere else
I'll have the
again.
Spongy chicken, please.
Yeah,
with
it
the
didn't
questionable
work.
sauce.
That's a burn that sticks with you.
And do you know what? I actually have a lunch meeting at that same place in a few days, Jodi.
Well, don't order the chicken.
I won't be ordering the chicken this time.
Do you ever rely on the waiter, waitress, or the cashier?
for
to recommend. I went
Yeah.
to a place that I'd never been before here in town, and it's like there were two things I wanted. There was a sandwich that's like you make your own this and you make your own that,
Right.
And over here is a burger that it's grass fed, locally sourced, da 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 da. I don't know. So hey, what do you recommend? He goes, well, both of them are great, but seriously, if you want da 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 da, I'd go with this one.
And which
it's like,
which one?
It was the sandwich.
And it was good?
It was delicious.
That's awesome.
But the next time I go, I'm going to try the burger.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I always, mainly just because I love somebody's take on that. And most times servers will be honest with you about, I've never tried that before, or,
That's
my
true.
favorite
They
is
are
not.
usually.
Right. But I love that recommendation just for a couple of reasons, because I do, as y'all both know, I like interacting with the servers too. To me, that's part of the experience. It's just as much social as anything else. And so I love getting that kind of, feedback, especially if it's a brand new restaurant that I've never been in before. Jodi and I had that, at a sort of, it was a very, it's not Mexican cuisine, but it's sort of like, what do you call it when it's an offshoot of that? It's a blend, it's a hybrid, I can't think of the right word for it, but anyway,
Mexican inspired.
Yeah, it's basically their version of how they wanted to prepare their own dish. Yeah, it's not quite traditional, and the server was very thorough with us about everything. He
learned
with
the
those
menu.
dishes.
He had eaten everything there.
Yeah.
And he was very good. One of the best experiences we've ever had.
The reason I like
server.
that too is this is the first time I've experienced this before. When I say that I don't do cilantro, as everybody knows, and I know that, okay, a lot of times pico is going to have it in it. Sometimes the salsa is going to have it in it, or whatever. And
Often.
if there's a little hidden piece here or there, sometimes I can get away with it. But it's that I do have that gene thing that it just kicks me in the face that cilantro is too strong. Well, there was no way of me knowing that one of the entrees that was on this menu, he said, well, look, this has a chimichurri sauce. And I says, I'm pretty sure you're not going to like that. I'll put it on the side for you, but it's loaded with cilantro. Feel free to try it. And I'm glad he did. And I did try it. I just wanted to see.
And he was like, yeah,
and
that
he was
would
right.
not
He's
have liked
but
that.
I'm glad you didn't put that on top of my taco. So I think it's little things like that, too. The more, when you start asking the server their opinion on things, they're going to learn more about what your tastes are, and obviously they work for the restaurant. They're going to be best in the best position to make
server,
a recommendation.
They've tried everything or have a good idea of
You
what
hope they
everything
have.
tastes like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I ever usually ask the server is if I'm getting a salad. You know this question, Murphy. I always ask, is the dressing homemade? You know that too? You notice that? I mean, if I'm in a restaurant, I don't want bottled dressing. I have bottled dressing at home. And homemade dressing is just where it's at, and if it's a Caesar, I want it to be strong. I want it to kick me in the face.
Yeah. Well, and most times if a restaurant's going to make it homemade, some restaurants do all of them homemade, but I'm sure that's very difficult as a restaurant to manage because it's all very perishable.
Not all.
So they'll usually choose one or two things that's going to be their specialty, and a lot of times it'll be a Caesar or it'll be ranch or a vinaigrette, right? Exactly. And honestly, at that point, that's where I'll go with the house, even if it's except if it's blue cheese. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But
the house is a good.
Yeah, exactly. Because
choice.
they've made it. That means that a chef has put time and attention into doing something really special.
Yeah, I'm a ranch person, but if they said that's our special homemade house vinaigrette and it's got da 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 da, I was like, just do it.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I'll
right.
try
Fantastic.
it. That's the fun of the foodie, of the foodie part of it. So, but back to the original question, my answer is I can't really give. I don't think I can give up either because the food experience, I think, is just what I enjoy the most.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.